kick us off by saying thank you for being here on behalf of Tombstone's Consolidated Mining Company and our prospective owners Rick and Pat Jones of Birmingham, Alabama. Now, of course, I want to say thank you. I'm Nicholas. I'll be your tour guide today. And just before I get you down in the good enough mine, just out of curiosity here, has anybody heard of the name Ed Scheffler? No, no worries. That is why I am here. At least that's what my boss tells me. But Mr. Ed Schefflin, he was the founder of the town here, Tombstone, as well as the main prospector of these mines in the Knolls. Now, around the age of 12, Ed Schefflin lived in Oregon with his father. He decided that young that he wanted to start prospecting like his dad. So he ran away from home, tried prospecting at the age of 12, but that career he tried to start was cut quite short by a trustworthy neighbor who brought him back to his dad pretty quickly after he left. So with that being said, a little later down the road, on Ed's 18th birthday, his father gifted him $100 and kicked him right out of the house, told him to start prospecting. So he did. He began up in Montana, a northern gold rush state, but didn't actually find a whole lot prospecting-wise there. So Ed decided to make his way down to some of the southern states, one of which being California. And while he was there in Cali, he came across some military scouts, and they were headed in this direction, looking for a little place called Camp Huachuca. See, if you're familiar with the area at all, you would know that now today as Fort Huachuca, still an active military base.
That's how you say it.
Yes.
Oh.
And most people say Huachuca, and then I say bless you. However, these mountains, just about 26 miles to the south, are very hazy. Those are the Huachuca Mountains. On this side would be that Camper Fort, and on the other would be Mexico. And just to put in perspective for you folks, this area or district was considered quite dangerous in that time, or at least it was for Ed. See, up about 12, 13 miles to the north here, there's usually some very beautiful mountains that direction that are covered by the clouds. Those are the Dragoon Mountains, the home of Chief Cochise as well as Geronimo.
Oh, okay.
I know we've heard of them before.
Yes.
And then back behind our gift shop as well as petting zoo, about 18 miles back would be the home of Chief Victoria. Now that being said, Ed did stick around with these scouts, figured he'd find safety in numbers, but in doing so he realized he didn't work well with them at all. See, Ed liked to stop up on the paths and trails to look at all the pretty shiny rocks. So he would essentially, whoa, 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 stop everybody up. Oh, that's a pretty shiny rock. And pretty much get the same looks you're giving me right now. They're trying to figure out what the heck he is doing. The scouts, if you were unaware, were on horseback. They were running from state to state, on the move all the time, fast living. So they would eventually get tired of Ed, and he would break off from their group, and he would be out here on his own in this dangerous district. So one of these scouts would advise Ed that the only stone he would find in this dangerous territory would be his own tombstone. I suppose he thought that was quite clever. Once he did find his first mining claim, actually up on Allen Street, he would then name it the Tombstone Claim. Of course, the town adapting that name as well. Now at that claim, Ed harvested his first pretty decent and unique looking rock, but he didn't know what he had at the time. So he decided he would take it to his brother Albert, who lived in Signal, Arizona, which is kind of near the Kingsman region today. Now it took Ed a year to travel that distance, but within that year he became very lucky. See, up in those Dragoon Mountains, Chief Cochise had sadly passed away. In the Native American culture, it is considered quite a bad medicine to live where one of your chiefs had been buried. So these tribe members had packed up, and they moved further down south past those Huachuca Mountains into Mexico. So once Ed was officially able to find his brother Albert, he would show him that rock he had harvested, only to be laughed at, called a complete and total idiot as well. Apparently poor Ed was carrying around low-grade silver, which means there just wasn't a whole lot of value within that rock there. So he didn't like the name-calling or the answers he got, so Ed went and got a second opinion from Richard Gerd, a mining engineer who had his own assay office. He was able to test that ore directly. Now that test had come back to $40 per ton, and they knew that it was actually high-grade silver, not low-grade. And that $40, that caught their attention, I'm not going to lie. They came back down to that claim to continue mining as well as committing a second test that came back to $2,000 per ton. Now again, in the 1800s, that $40 was pretty good, but imagine how giddy they were over 2,000.
Oh, yeah.
That's like striking gold.
Oh yeah, literally striking gold. Now, some of the tools I have here today, my 6-inch drill and my 4-pound sledgehammer, were the tools that would have been used in that time frame. So of course a driller would put his steel up to this rock, taking his 4-pound sledgehammer, hitting it as hard as possible, turning it a quarter of the way. And he would do this a total of 10 hours a day or night. Yeah, that was a little wet. and would of course be down in the mine at that time frame the whole throughout the day. Now there was about 20 drillers working down in the mine at once. Yet a grand total of 50 men down there on a 10-hour shift. The first 20 were these drillers. The next 10 were called supervisors. They were the men packing these drill steel holes full of blasting powder and blasting caps, and then setting them off. And the last 20 of those 50 were called muckers, or the unlucky lot. They were the men carrying up all the ore, typically in the weight of 70 to 100 pounds. So they had it pretty rough. So once again at that tombstone claim, they continued to mine, but they would soon realize they'd run out of silver only 6 feet underground. That isn't much of mine at all, so naturally they had panicked. But Ed was known as the positive prospector throughout history, and he promised them that he would find more silver in this district. And he did just that, right down the hill at his good enough mine. So once you folks are ready and willing, just follow me down this hillside here. Do take our time. Yes, ma'am. Oh, that is an old pagan. It stands for Mercury. Yeah, Gemini. Yeah.